another episode of Get a Load of This from the Silver Creek Studios. I'm Jared.
I'm Ryan, and I'm 4 beers in.
Oh, man.
We're back,
It's
motherfuckers.
A good 4 beers. I'm even drinking Stag.
Yeah.
Stag Session. It's the light beer, but
No, this is
good.
the nectar of the gods. It's
it was a long month.
Yeah.
September, I believe you texted me fuck September the other day.
Yeah, it was
we were
hashtag
ready.
fuck
Yeah,
September.
right.
But we made it close. I mean, we were a day short, but the Cardinals clinched the division. It's all the reason I needed to have a beverage.
Yeah, so our target was a month. For me, it was just under because I started after Labor Day.
Right.
And
I made it 29 days.
Right.
I feel good about that.
And the Cardinals clinched on Sunday, which was the 29th,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
And so Ryan and I both had a few beers in honor of the National League Central Division Championship.
Yeah.
And you know what? It's okay. A couple days shy.
And I think I'll do
not
it
gonna
again.
kill
I think it was I don't say it was fun, but it was a neat. It was kind of an interesting challenge to challenge myself to say like, hey, I can do this shit. So I don't know. It won't be October.
I don't know.
It might be November.
When you say I could do it, we were both
craving.
You especially were a little cranky. We were both craving it. We missed it. There's a lot of opportunity for the temptation, right?
Yeah, yeah. No,
you go out to dinner, you go out to a bar with some friends,
but
or
here's the other thing is that I'm a cheap
somebody's birthday or whatever.
bastard that I go to a restaurant and not order beer. Now I'm drinking water or drinking tea or something.
Yeah.
And saving a lot of money.
Mm-hmm. For sure. Definitely.
You start all right, well, I'm going to put away $15 every 4 days for the beer fund and that I'm not spending.
Today, the day we're recording this, is October 1st.
Yeah.
And I had a margarita at lunch.
Oh, right on.
In celebration. So,
liquid lunch, huh?
Yeah, it was a good time. And it was a tasty margarita too. It was good.
And you went back to work?
Oh yeah.
Wow. Wow.
So to be perfectly honest, you should see what some of the fuckers I work with do. There's one guy in particular. He's an older guy. He's a very good developer.
Mm-hmm.
He's the lead developer on the team, so he kind of gets away with stuff that maybe a younger person wouldn't get away with.
Okay.
He comes back completely blitzed sometimes, and he will just be coding away at his desk, just drunk off his ass.
But he's writing good code,
Generally he is.
Huh.
But
good for him.
There's times where I'm just like, wow.
Yeah. I hope we're not risking any national security.
Yeah, no, it's all good. No, hopefully not.
Yeah.
We usually catch it. We got good testers
That reminds me of stories of like the car manufacturers that in Fenton, Missouri, where there used to be a Chrysler plant, now destroyed, and there was a Ford plant here, and you know there was a lot of automotive manufacturing in St. Louis area. But anyway, there was taverns right across the highway from the Chrysler plant, and they were
really busy,
busy
yeah.
every day at lunch, and especially on Fridays, especially on paydays. And there's stories about these guys notoriously getting just shit-faced and going back to work at the Chrysler plant, building cars and, forgetting bolts. Shit,
I don't doubt it.
Pretty important stuff, And then there's the guys at the brewery downtown St. Louis that they could drink. They still get their free case of beer or whatever, or maybe it's more than that. But they used to be able to drink on the line while they're on the job. And these guys would just, be at work getting fucking hammered, But what's the risk, It's like, Schlemiel Schlemazel doesn't get the glove on the bottle or whatever.
So I think I've said this before on the podcast, but where I work at the other location, I'll just say, occasionally they have like a party or whatever, a thing, a celebration of whatever. And a few years ago, they started allowing beer to be brought to these parties.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a good time.
Yeah.
But, you'd have one beer and you get some chips and dip and whatever, and, like, it's fine.
You have one, you want more.
Well, right.
Yeah.
And so generally they'll bring domestic beers and some craft beers. And craft beers generally being a little heavier, a little higher alcohol content, whatever. So generally I have a beer and I have my little snacks and then go back to my desk. Well, this one time I was with Rick, friend of the show.
Yeah.
And I had already had one, and he was like, let's get another one and we'll go back and get back to work. And I was like, I already had one. He's like, yeah, it's fine. Just get another one. I'm like, all right, fine. So I got another beer, a second beer. I'm at his desk halfway into my second beer of a, whatever craft beer it was.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like leaning forward and having trouble focusing. And like,
this is in your early days of drinking?
this was, not that long, a year ago or whatever.
Okay.
I mean, today is my early days of drinking. But I was like, holy shit, this is why they don't let people drink at work. Because I used to kind of, after one beer in, you're like, they need to do this all the time. You get loose and relax and you don't stress as much. This is great for morale.
Until everybody's sleeping on their keyboard.
2 beers in, and I was like, now I get it. This is why they don't let you do this. Because I'm ready to, fall asleep right now. And I couldn't focus on what he was the same way. We were both like, so what did you just say? What did you
Very
ask?
few jobs you can do when you're drunk. I think baseball announcing is probably the most notable one. I'm trying to think of other jobs you can do while bartending. You could probably bartend while drunk.
Probably, yeah.
You could be a musician while drunk.
Definitely.
I'm trying to think. What else could you do?
Podcasting.
You could, yeah, sure. Probably not Uber driving.
No, you should not be an Uber driver while drinking.
Yeah, I don't know. There's not many jobs that you can get away with that at,
Yeah.
I know that there was a lot of it wasn't alcohol, it was different substances that trading, securities trading. There was a little bit of the white stuff
Wolf
going
of
around.
Wall Street stuff going on.
Not by me and not by anybody that I witnessed, but I know it was happening.
Right.
There was a guy that I worked with that was an old school trader.
Mm-hmm.
And he really thought he was still, I mean, they're in the Midwest,
Right.
And he really thought he was he was on Wall Street still. And I was like, dude, you're in Chesterfield. Sorry, buddy.
Yeah.
You're not who you think you
Gordon
are.
Gekko kind of dude. Yeah.
And he still, but he was still living like that lifestyle. And I'm like, dude, you need to calm down. He got fired. But I think he was living out of his suburban for about 6 months too. So yeah, it's fucked up. Anyway.
Well, you mentioned musicians getting able to drink on the job.
Yeah.
But before we started, we were kind of talking about some bands and artists and musicians who we really liked, but that maybe aren't as popular as they could be or maybe should be. And kind of just talking about some of these guys who everybody knows their one big hit, but it turns out that's their worst song,
Right.
And we've talked a little bit about this in the past. You mentioned the Zac Brown band. Is it just Zac Brown? Does he do his own stuff too, solo work, or is it always
he has
band?
another band that he actually released an album with. I think I can't remember the name of it. He was completely abandoning country sound at all, and really kind of abandoning really the funk blues style that he has too. He was just kind of doing some more techno type kind of feel. I don't even know if that's
so.
The
Ryan
right
really
way to
takes
categorize
offense at the notion that you might like chicken fried.
No. Don't mischaracterize that.
No.
I said, my exact words were, I'm glad that he made that song because it got radio play. It got him popular. I would have probably not known about Zac Brown or his music if not for that song. I don't think I think anybody thinks that it's his greatest song.
I mean, to me it is.
That's because you've not heard most of his other music. But he's also, whenever I first talked to you about him, you're like, he's country. I'm not really a big country fan. I'm like, yeah, but he's not. He is, but he's not. There's so much more to him and the musicians that make up his band. There's a lot of influences there, and it's really good. And everybody should go out. And he's got a new album out. I don't think it's his best. I think it might be the worst album. I don't know. I got to listen to it again. It's called The Owl. But Jekyll and Hyde is probably one of my favorite. Homegrown's really good. I mean, they're all really good. They're everything that I said it to my boys. I'm like, I don't think the dude can make a bad song. I mean, even Chicken Fried, as much as I don't want to hear it because I've heard it too many times. Yeah, it's a good song. It's Do
you think is any of that you happen to like Zac Brown, and so you think all their songs are great, every album's great? And I have a band like that too. My favorite band. We're actually going to go see them in a couple weeks, but I'm like, all their songs are good. Every song on their album. I mean, they don't have a song that I don't like. So that's probably. I mean, it's not just me. Obviously, they have a lot of fans. Yeah. But don't you expect that most people probably don't think that? They're like, yeah, I don't really like that song that much. And then you get offended? Like,
no.
Well, then you're an idiot because you don't
that
like that
if
song.
someone discounts a band like you did, like, well, if someone says, country, bleh, bleh. And
well, there's plenty of country bands and artists I like.
Okay, but you turned up your nose at Zac Brown because of what you knew of their catalog was country.
Yeah.
And then I said, all right, well, listen to this. And you're like, yeah, I still hear the twang. I still hear this. I still hear that. And I was like, all right, well, listen. I know they definitely have country roots. I mean, they're from Georgia.
Yeah.
You're going to hear Southern styling in their music, but there's a lot more to it. There's a lot of metal. I mean, like I said, they did an album with Dave Grohl. Or an EP, not an album. They did like 5 songs with them.
So I had said I get irritated when artists do that.
I feel
collaborate with a completely different.
Before you go there, let me back up because I don't think I answered what you're saying. So it bothers me when people don't know the rest of their catalog and they say, well, no, I've heard this, so I'm going to put them in this bucket and I'm not going to listen to anything more. I feel like, and I'm guilty of it too.
But that's justifiable, right?
Sure,
I mean, like that's the only exposure you've had. You would have to have bought their album and listened to the whole thing to not only know.
Sure, but whenever I tell you to listen to the rest of it, you should listen to the rest of it.
I should.
But no, it doesn't make me mad. It does. It's like saying I hate. I don't know. Chicken Fried's the best example. I hate Zac Brown because I don't like the song Chicken Fried. It's like, well, you haven't listened to everything else. Chicken Fried is not the best song that they've done. It's like saying I hate Billy Joel because I hate We Didn't Start the Fire. Okay, he doesn't like We Didn't Start the Fire. No, not many people like We Didn't Start the Fire. If you listen,
lots of people like We Didn't Start the Fire.
They did.
It's a wildly famous
whenever
song.
it came out, but I think most people now listen to it like, all right, yeah, that's pretty silly song. It's not really a great arrangement, if you will. It's more like a pop rap song.
Yeah.
It's not very good.
There's a lot of good pop rap out there.
Yeah.
No, I mean that's the thing is like somebody made that decision to make that the representative song of Billy Joel or Zac Brown Band or whatever, right? Some producer and record label said, this is what we're going to put out there. This is who you are now. And if they don't like it, part of me feels bad for the band or artist because, like, okay, they have to deal with that now, right? They either have to run with it or change.
And they got to play it in 80
but I'm
cities.
Like, if you're going to do that, if you're going to get famous off this song or album or what, a bunch of songs, then I don't know. That's where I was saying it kind of irritates me when a band that clearly starts out as one thing decides, you know what, we're going to record a song with Dave Grohl and Chris Cornell and whatever else, or, you know, Frank Sinatra
he's also
thing
done,
or whatever. It's like, well,
Alan Jackson, Jimmy
who
Buffett.
Are you?
Yeah, so Zac Brown, they've done it with a lot of people, but yeah, I mean, across the board too.
Like, what are you doing? Be you. Stop trying to be everybody else. No,
no,
you're trying to sound like you belong with Dave Grohl or Chris Cornell.
But it is them. And they do belong with those people.
Do they?
I think so.
Okay.
I mean,
I need to listen to it.
You should listen.
That's the caveat. Is I need to hear more of it. Yeah. But I'm like, that's not who you are. That's who you're trying to sell records to or whatever. And it's like, I guess. But if that's who you are,
I think if it
then
wasn't,
why did you make Chicken Fried would be my question.
Well, because number one, that's who they were then. And that's what broke them through. And that's what got them, radio play. And you have to get on the scene somehow.
Okay, so
Taylor Swift got on the scene through the country music charts.
Yeah,
and she's a talented person, but she wouldn't have been where she is today if she hadn't cracked the country charts before she moved over to the pop charts.
So I will agree, but where I will disagree is I feel like her country was kind of pop country, and her pop is kind of pop country. Like
I think she
crossed
over,
is
still pop.
But it's sort of like interweaving. But she's definitely more pop than country now. But anyway. What I would say, though, and you played a few artists for me tonight before we started, and right away, I mean, seconds in, I was like, yeah, I hear what you're saying. What was the first guy? Sturgill Simpson.
Yep.
Right away, I'm like, this is authentic. I mean, maybe not. Yeah. Maybe it's bullshit, but it sounds like and looks like when I see him, I'm like, that's real. That's who he is. Now, if Sturgill Simpson suddenly decided to sing Bruno Mars covers or whatever, that would not be him, right? You'd be like, fuck that shit.
You never know.
Because I know who he is now. Same with Avett Brothers. Was like, the Avett Brothers will never do a crossover with Chris Cornell. Well,
maybe.
R.I.P. But so
they could,
you know what I mean? Like that's the difference I'm saying. Like I appreciate their authenticity. They're playing who they are. They're writing and like pouring themselves out like that.
Mm-hmm.
And when Zach Brown can go from Chicken Fried to Dave Grohl, I'm like, what are you trying to do here? Be yourself. Do what comes out. And maybe that's what comes out. But you know what I mean?
I think that
it's this kind of weird.
So I have a
sellout.
It's an eclectic. It's an eclectic musical taste, right? Mm-hmm. So, and I think that if you have someone like me who has zero musical talent, but I have an eclectic taste where I will listen to, you name it. I mean, it doesn't. It could be big band. It could be pop. It could be 70s yacht rock. It could be Little River Band to Metallica to Van Halen to Rush. You name it. And now all the Sturgill and Leon Bridges and you pick something, right? So that's a pretty broad net we're casting there, right? So now you got someone like me who likes all that. Now you put some musical talent into that person. And now they don't know what the hell they want to do.
Yeah,
they're like, I like this sound, and you know what? I heard that. I want to learn how to play that.
And to be honest, like the epitome of that would be the Beatles, right? So I mean, you go back to their early days, and it's nothing like their later days,
right?
Yet both equally impressive and influential, and whatever.
In the '60s, they were imitating. I mean, not imitating is not the right word, but they were
the early '60s.
Yeah, they were trying to be what they heard. They were trying to be, Buddy Holly, and they were trying to be, what was the other one? Their influences. Anyway,
I mean Elvis, and
Elvis,
whatever.
Right?
But,
yeah,
but yeah, definitely that bubblegum pop '50s kind of thing.
Until they figured out what drugs were.
Right. Yeah,
I feel like before they figured out what drugs were, they started to have their own sound, and they started.
And it wasn't just them. I feel like just music in general. Music's always changing, but like at that era, especially, it was like experimental and drugs and what people would listen to versus what did they want to hear. That kind of thing was all just changing. But you're right. I mean, if you said, "Well, what are the Beatles?" That's not who they are. They are a I Want to Hold Your Hand band. They're not I Am the Walrus, but
they evolved.
They're both.
They evolved.
So I got to give credit to what you're saying. You can do more than one genre and pull it off.
Now, I think that when you have someone like Sturgill Simpson or you have someone like Lucas Nelson, where they are kind of typecast, it's like these are these guys are Shooter Jennings, they're in this. I mean, Shooter's Waylon's boy, Lucas is Willie's boy, Sturgill's doesn't have any lineage, but these guys are country raised. This is what they're supposed to do.
Yeah.
That you don't expect them to get too far out of that, but they could.
Yeah.
You never know.
I don't want to hold them back.
I mean, look, Hank Williams Jr.
But I feel like there are times where people do that crossover thing just to sell out and make more money, and that's what's obviously irritating. And so that's my knee-jerk reaction is when you see somebody doing it, you're like, fuck off. But maybe that's who they are.
Right. Well, Hank Williams did more kind of pop country, country rock than obviously his old man did. And then, I keep talking about Sturgill being all this country. He's not. I mean, if you listen to everything he's done, it's some wild shit. There's some drug influence going on there. He does, I think, the whole album about turtles and I don't know, LSD or some shit, but he's fucked up.
Well,
he's seen some shit.
Yeah. While you and I were listening to that, I'm not ashamed to say we both kind of got a little choked up. It's deep shit going on, right?
Yeah.
And depending on the band and the lyrics and your own situation.
Yeah. Well, it was more with the Avett Brothers, but but with Sturgill,
you're right. It was Avett, but I sensed it a little bit with him too. I'm like, man, he's talking about
he's got emotion,
real shit, deep shit,
right?
But anyway, it was Avett Brothers.
When you can feel the emotion, when it's like American Idol shit. Whenever when you used to hear like Simon Cowell saying like, oh, I didn't believe it. I didn't believe you weren't putting yourself into the song.
Oh yeah,
there's a lot of truth to that.
Sure,
that was just a talking point on American Idol, but I know what he's looking for.
Yeah.
It's like whenever someone's singing a song to you and you feel that they these words mean something to them.
But I think so. What was interesting to me about it at the time was a few minutes ago was just like, and we talked a little bit about it, the perspective, right? I wrote down life changing. Like, I wouldn't have had that reaction 20 years ago. I probably would have turned it off a few seconds in.
Right.
Or I would have just been like, yeah, that's cool, whatever. But, and we talked a little bit.
It's perspective.
Like, now that we have kids that are getting older, as we get older and we realize, Jesus, I did not react like that 20 years ago or whatever, right? I'm glad that we're both kind of aware of that and open to that and like, not stuck in our cocky macho ways, right?
Well, if you get stuck in that type of thing and you don't, I'll say it this way. Whenever you first have kids, right? Whenever my kids were little, it's like you're worried about them not dying. You're worried about them not choking on a hot dog or something like that.
Not so much.
Yeah, now they're self-sufficient. They're able to take care of themselves. They can go drive and they can do all these things or whatever. And now you worry. What I worry, at least, I can't say what all fathers or mothers worry about. What you worry about is, what do they think of me? Did I fuck up? How did I do? Did I do okay? Because the job's done. At least, I mean, not done. I mean, the job never ends.
Pretty close.
But you've checked a big box. Like, okay, this is out in the wild now, and I have to maintain it every once in a while and check in on it and make sure it's not doing anything stupid. But for the most part, I've set this thing off into the wild and hope that it does well. Now, so what does my product, my son, what does he think? And then what do others think of me and my son? Mm-hmm. How did I do? What's the general perception?
Yeah.
And so that's how, when you listen to some of these songs, Murder in the City is the song we're talking about by the Avett Brothers. You should go listen to it. And but that's what kind of makes me. That's the trail I went down. It's like, I don't have a brother. I can't relate to it on that level, but I can relate to it on the level of these two brothers singing a song and asking themselves, what their parents thought of them. It's deep shit. So, and also emotional. So anyway, I don't know. I'm done talking about that shit.
Ryan doesn't want to cry on camera.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, I agree. I think when you can hear something like that and react that way, I mean, it doesn't even need to be a hit. That's not going to be a hit song, but you're going to connect with it, right?
That's the other thing, is that most of the people we're talking about, other than Zach Brown, they haven't had any hits.
Right.
These guys have not had big time radio airplay, which is kind of, I think, where we were going with this conversation. Where we wanted to go is how it's changed, and we don't know shit about the music industry or the radio industry. We don't know much, but I think just by looking at what we see, we can tell that there's obviously been a huge shift. We don't buy albums anymore. We don't, there's no record stores. There's no Sam Goody. There's no, what was the other one? The record Music Land. There's no Street Side Records. Those things are gone.
Tower Records, all that shit. Yep.
Everything's on our phones, and so Zach Brown released a new album. I went to my Google Music, and I was able to play the whole thing. And I don't pay anything more.
Yeah.
Still my $13 a month or whatever I pay, and Zach gets a little bit.
Yeah.
Hopefully he gets a bunch, because a bunch of people download it, and that's a whole different deal, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, then going to the record store and buying an album or buying a cassette, and they got their 60% of whatever the price of them, probably less than that, probably 20%. So it's a whole different thing. So how do these folks, do they even need radio? I mean, do they need airplay?
Yeah, I think radio is still a thing. It's still important to some people, to some bands. You can get famous off of just the radio now.
You think?
You can, yeah.
I think it's a lot harder now than it used to be. I think that, like, you should ask your daughter how often she just listens to the radio in her car.
Right. But there are still music videos that get made and watched.
Who watches those?
I mean, YouTube and shit.
Oh, dude.
Sure.
Okay.
We just watched 2 or 3 tonight.
Yeah, I don't think about that, though. I don't.
Right,
I don't
counts.
go there.
I mean, that's probably where they're being played. Well, right. But they're still making videos, producing them, and then putting them out, whether it gets watched on YouTube or whatever. But there's still new bands on the radio. Not as much, I don't think, but it's still there. My point is, you can get famous that way, but you can also get famous through YouTube, through whatever MP3 service, and you don't need to rely on you can get on famous on a podcast.
Yeah.
Speaking of, we should get into the last episode a little bit, but
yeah, we could talk about that.
So I think you can do it, but it's just a different way and a different, like, you market it differently.
Yeah,
it's a different audience. You know, it's
I think that the like Chuck, we got him a new car. He's got a 6-month trial of Sirius XM. He doesn't care.
Right.
He doesn't want to listen to that. He just wants to be able to hit the button on his phone.
Yeah,
He wants to listen to his playlist.
Yeah.
And he doesn't listen to Pandora. He doesn't listen to. He listens to his playlist of songs. That's it.
Yeah.
So no one's going to break into that playlist. I don't know how unless he hears of them through Twitter or through someone else has to introduce him to it. A TV show. I don't know. I don't know how new music gets introduced to him. That's an interesting question. I should ask him. And you should ask your daughter.
Well, I was going to say, I don't seek out new music, but I'm only at this point really interested in stuff that I kind of happen upon.
Right.
So however that happens, if I like it, then I'm going to say, okay, I like this. I'm going to get that album or whatever. I don't go looking for it. I don't ask people, hey, I need a new suggestion. What band are you listening to? I don't do that.
Right.
I barely listen to the radio. I mean, if I'm in the car, it's sports talk radio,
right,
or podcasting from my favorite podcast app. So I feel like I've only had a very small handful of new artists over the last few years that I'm into, but the ones I'm into, I like a lot and I listen to it a lot. But so there's a guy that he's a guitar player, and I'm really into him right now. But they were asking, I watched an interview with him, and they were basically asking me these questions, like, how do you get successful? What did you do? And it's basically diversification at this point. He's like, you got to make YouTube videos.
Right.
You got to participate with other artists. You got to have albums that are downloadable. You got to get involved in this and this and this. And he's like, you get a little bit well known in all of that, and now maybe you'll make some money.
Right.
But if you just did one of those things, it's impossible to be the top YouTube artist. But you can be up here on YouTube and up here on Instagram and up here on, product endorsing or whatever, and then you can make some money.
We were driving through New Orleans on I think the last
Rabia Masad actually is who that is. Rabia Masad. Check him out. Anyway,
we were driving through New Orleans and we were in an Uber. And there's buskers all over the streets of New Orleans, as anybody that's been there knows that they're everywhere. There's a lot of musicians in New Orleans. And I made a comment to my wife and to the Uber driver. I was like, there's just too many musicians down here. They got to go someplace else. There's people that I saw on the streets of New Orleans that are phenomenal musicians, but they're not better than the person that's in the shittiest bar that has a stage and an amp.
Yeah.
But they're amazing. Like if they were to go to St. Louis or if they were to go to Chicago or to Kansas City or Memphis, they'd get in a club. They'd have a gig, but because they're there, they're fucked.
Yeah.
And the Uber driver kind of laughed at me like, well, but they can't get there because they don't have any fucking money or this is where their home is and this is where their family is, whatever. I'm like, yeah, I get it. But it's a shame because there's a lot of really talented people that their talent is going unnoticed because they're standing on a street corner.
Opportunity is a huge part of success. Yeah, just the right place, right time.
It's a shame, it's like I think that like some, Simon Cowell or these record label. I'm sure maybe they do this stuff, but they should go to cities like that and just walk around. Go to the subways in New York and listen to these guys that are. Now you don't have to. Now you have YouTube and you have Instagram and shit like that. You can go watch stuff on. But in the 80s, before all that stuff, or the 90s, walk around the streets and just listen to the guys that are on the street busking. And I mean, there's some amazing things out there.
So I don't think I told you about this. A couple weeks ago, my brother came over, and for those of you who don't know, he and I used to be in a band together, and for several years, and then I quit at one point, and the band stayed together for several more years. I'd say another 5 or 6 years. Anyway, never got famous, never broke through, whatever.
You didn't?
Yeah.
I swear
Can you
you're
believe
famous all this time.
Well, here's the thing. So they do have some recordings. We had some recordings.
Yeah.
And they've put some of it out on the internet on various streaming services. And come to find out, my brother's making not much, but
he's getting some royalties?
a couple $100 a month in royalties from this.
Oh, the band that you were in.
Right. Now,
I think he owes you some money.
some of it, most of it is music written after I was out of the band. But some of it is when I was still in the band. Some of it I even helped record. And I'm not going after it or anything, but I was like, well, fuck me. Like, I missed out on all this shit.
Right.
They're not making thousands or anything, but he's like, they make a little bit.
They make us some beer money.
Right. So, yeah, I'm pretty jealous. I quit at the wrong time, apparently.
Is the band
I didn't
still
stick
around?
it out. No, they've been
they're
broke
done.
up for at least 5-10 years.
What was the
maybe.
name of the band?
Arythma, Arythma.
I've seen that
Arythma.
before. It's on that guitar case.
It
right
is
over
on
there.
that guitar case right over there. That's my brother's, one of his guitars.
Is that one of these?
No, it's
It's in
it's an
there?
electric, but yeah, it's in
Okay.
there.
All right. I
Mhm.
didn't know if you had it hanging up or not.
No, it's not hanging up. It's a cool baritone guitar. But yeah, that was a fun time. But honestly, it was stressful because we were so trying to break through,
What
trying
years?
to get famous.
What
right?
years was this?
What years?
Mhm.
15 years ago, so
So 04.
something like that, to probably 2010.
So definitely before the environment that we live in today, as far as YouTube was there, but
oh yeah,
but
right.
it wasn't-
It was not the means of
Right.
getting known.
you
and
still
all that.
had to.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You were
had
still selling.
old-fashioned,
You were
yeah.
selling tickets to shows locally. You were trying to get a manager, which they had. You were trying to get signed, right? All that.
Mhm.
It was all about getting signed. Now, I don't think artists care as much about getting signed. It's about getting your stuff out there, however that is.
Yeah, well, I think
And
it's
you
about
can self-produce
getting
your own
gigs and-
albums and
yeah,
shit.
It's getting gigs. It's selling T-shirts and selling,
Yeah.
whatever they could sell.
I've recorded stuff in the last 6 months with a buddy of mine that's way better quality than anything I ever recorded in a
Right.
studio with these guys, because it's easier now. You can do it yourself on a computer,
right.
and it sounds so much better, So, but yeah, it was fun. It was but honestly, when he was sitting here, I found myself just reminiscing about all the cool shit that we did. When I quit, it was all a pain in the ass, and I didn't want it anymore, and we
Right.
were bickering about stuff. But now I look back on it as like, fuck, that was such
Should've
a good
hung around.
time.
Is that where the mandolin's down? Was he over here playing?
he might have had
Was he
his
sitting in my
mandolin.
chair?
He was sitting right there. Yeah.
I've never met your brother.
No?
No. And does he listen?
Does
The
he
podcast?
listen? I don't doubt it.
That bastard.
He's not a podcast person at all.
Yeah, all right.
I've asked him about it. He doesn't listen to anything.
I'm sure he was at your birthday party.
He was.
Man,
Many people were at my birthday party, except for
yeah, it's never
some.
Yeah, I had shit
Yeah.
going on.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Talking about that. So my wife had her 20th class reunion the other day, last
And a
weekend.
birthday.
And a birthday. Yep.
Yeah.
Happy birthday, honey. And they started it at the Stubborn German, which is where my birthday party was,
Mhm.
in the basement at
Right.
the
They started
brewery.
it? It didn't finish there?
no, it was like a pub crawl kind of
Oh,
thing.
shit. Okay.
And it was a good time. She said they had the same.
You didn't go?
Fuck no. Because that was when I couldn't drink beer.
Oh, yeah.
You think I'm going to go to Stubborn German while everybody's getting tanked and I'm
Right.
just sitting there like, hey guys,
Yeah.
how's it going?
You don't really need a driver because you can just walk to all the pubs where they were probably
Yeah,
going.
I know. It was talk
Truly a
about
pub
temptation.
crawl, yeah.
But yeah, they said it was a really good time. Of course, the venue was great. They had the same bartender we had at my party, which that guy was super cool. So yeah, props to Stubborn German
Right
once
on.
again.
Yeah, and Stubbornfest this weekend. If you're in the
Yeah.
metropolitan St. Louis area and you're here within the sound
So
of my voice.
honestly, I'm not sure I've been to Stubbornfest.
We were there last
Can-
year. I was there last year.
I know. Tell me
Were you
what
not
was
there?
going on. I don't remember.
They
It must
had-
have been really
we
good
talked
if I don't
about
remember.
it on the podcast. I
I
think they
know.
have a
What was I
polka
doing?
band with this dude is wearing like lederhosen. It was hot as balls too, and he was wearing lederhosen.
Could be why I didn't go.
And he was playing an electric banjo or something. No, he was bagpiping. What the fuck was he doing? No, he wasn't bagpiping. That doesn't make sense. What was he doing? What do Germans... Was it banjo? Anyway, he was sweating his balls off is what he was doing.
Okay.
Oh, I know what it was. It was a big flugelhorn. It was like a big fucking
Was this
tuba.
out on the square?
Yeah,
or
yeah.
Okay.
So they put a big stage.
Maybe I was there. I don't know.
They put a big stage out right facing Stubborn German, the brewery.
Okay.
And the back of the stage faces the courthouse, the county courthouse,
Okay.
the county square. And they shut down the whole street. And, yeah, it's a lot of fun.
I was not there. I don't know what we were doing, but
Well, you're going to go this weekend, right?
It's this weekend?
It's this weekend, right?
Well, I'm deer hunting Saturday morning.
Jesus Christ.
I feel like we have something Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, you got to get your priorities straight. Well, it's not a Grafton tour. It's not a sunset cruise.
We're getting the stink eye over
Yeah,
here.
we just got to.
Yes, I want to go to Stubbornfest with you. That sounds awesome.
I think it's Friday and Saturday.
Okay.
But anyway, so yeah, if you're not from here and you don't know about that, and you can, but you're from the St. Louis area or you're going to be here, go to Stubbornfest. It's a good time.
Come find us, and we'll be the ones drinking beer.
Yeah.
And
yeah, if you're watching this on YouTube, you'll know exactly who you're looking for.
Exactly.
So, what else were we going to talk about? Was that it?
Well, no. I don't know how much you want to get into it, and we don't have to get too far into it.
How much time we got?
We got time.
Yeah.
So this week on Thursday, technically it's Friday, or officially it's Friday, but technically it's Thursday, the new Joker movie comes out.
Oh, yeah.
And we talked a little bit about the controversy surrounding this movie. So let's explain a little bit about what that is. We both kind of almost blow it off like whatever.
Well,
but it's pretty big.
I didn't know about it. You actually introduced me to it, which it aggravates me.
Right. Yeah.
So thanks.
Sure. No problem.
No, it's it sounds like it's a.
So the background of the controversy is that
society we live in.
It is, but the movie is going to be about a mentally unstable person who goes on to become a homicidal maniac, right? The Joker of the comic book Batman series. That's what we're talking about, Joker. So, but it's a very serious take on the character and a serious depiction of the life and all that stuff of this background of this character. So the controversy is that I think some people are assuming, without even having seen it, that it's glorifying this homicidal behavior or glorifying violence from mental issues.
Sure.
And so there's been FBI warnings.
Yeah.
The military is warning their own soldiers to be on the lookout if you go to see this in the theater. They are telling them to look for 2 exits.
Yeah, well,
be prepared to fight back with whatever is available to you in case some crazy person walks into a theater and tries to shoot up the place. Is what
was
they're
the
saying.
movie the one in Colorado?
So The Dark Knight Rises, which was a
Rises,
Batman movie,
right? And
which didn't have the Joker in it,
right? It had Bane, right?
Right. But some guy dyed his hair purple, which is not the color of the Joker's hair, but
in some comics it is.
No,
some versions
it's always green.
What's purple on him then?
His suit.
His suit's purple. His hair's not purple?
No. And the guy's hair was like pink or something. But anyway,
all right, whatever.
The guy was obviously crazy, off his rocker, and walked into a theater and shot up the place.
Yeah.
And now, because of that, they're afraid it's going to happen again, and partly because this movie is almost encouraging it. And I say, horse shit.
Look, there's been, then we need to go back to Hannibal Lecter.
Yeah.
We need to go back to...
How many fucking movies have we had this year with a psycho killer?
If they're wanting, if whoever's driving this is wanting to change the movie industry, they're going to have a tough time.
Right.
I think this is just...
It just seems silly to even
more
attempt
the
call
outrage
that out.
culture. Everybody's just looking for something to be pissed about or looking for something to fucking whine about. And
right.
It's exhausting.
It is.
That's so. Just go see the fucking movie. It's not. It's Look, I don't give a shit if you're seeing whatever the cheesiest movie in the world, the most non-violent movie in the world.
Right.
I don't care. You should look for 2 exits. You make
right.
fun of me that whenever I'm in a public place that I sit with my back to a wall and I'm facing a door. That's a real fucking thing.
I do that now, and I think of Ryan.
Yeah. Well, I have real apprehensions about not being able to see a bunch of people behind me. So. Yeah, any place you're in a public place, you should know how to get the fuck out, and especially if you have your loved ones with you, especially if they can't take care of themselves. You got little ones with you or whatever. You should be like, all right, how am I going to fucking do this? How am I going to put all these assholes under my arms and get the fuck out of here without getting shot by that crazy motherfucker that's inevitably going to walk through that fucking door?
But
So
I think
stop it.
it's definitely unfair to put that on this movie and this actor and this director. You know, this Joaquin Phoenix has had to sit through interviews where people ask him about what he thinks about the potential for violence because of him. And it's like, fuck you. I'm an actor in a movie of which is not even close to the most violent or psychotic movie ever. And you're blaming me if something happens?
Phoenix like a method actor, like a Daniel Day-Lewis or like that? Is where he gets
I
like
would put him in that.
into it?
I mean, he has done that for sure. I don't know if he does that all the time.
But you think he probably did it for this, I would imagine.
Yeah, I don't know if he went that far.
Right.
But, yeah.
Yeah. Well,
but, yeah. I mean, sure. He's an interesting cat. Let's put it that way.
Right. Well, I mean, I think that there's real concern because there's crazy people out there that will copycat crazy people, right? But I don't think now is not the time.
Right.
We should be aware of this all the time, and it doesn't no matter if the movie's just coming out. I mean, look, there's Natural Born Killers was a violent movie. And there could be some faction of youths today that stumbles upon this movie, watches this movie, and says, we could do that. You know, and so, but we're not pulling that off the fucking DVD shelf or off the Netflix roster.
I haven't seen it yet, obviously, but I don't think Joker is glorifying that. I think...
Well, who's the hero in it?
Well, I mean, we don't know yet.
Okay, but who do you think is?
Well, here's the thing. I do think that they do make you sympathize a bit with the character. I think he gets bullied a little bit. He deals with certain reactions to his mental, behavior and stuff that kind of pushes him over the edge. So I do think we're probably likely to feel bad for him a little bit.
Yep.
But that's different from glorifying it. That's different from making it seem like something we should want to go do.
Well, but
I wish I was Psycho too.
But
like
if
that's not what they're saying.
If 1/100,
he's still the bad guy.
If 1/1000th, 1/10,000th of the audience sympathizes with the Joker and says, "Boy, I really relate with that guy. He was picked on and bullied. I want to be like him." That's a problem. But
what about Weird Science, where the older brother is the bully?
But he wasn't.
What if there's
people?
What doesn't matter? What if there's anybody that thinks what he's doing is cool and decides to pick on other people?
And there were guys.
So should we ban Weird Science? I mean,
well, no, because they're not really doing any harm.
Well, yeah, they are.
No one died.
Bullying is harmful.
Yeah. I have an unpopular opinion in my head that I probably shouldn't say here, but
that bullying is okay. We should have more bullying.
Okay. Bullying's not okay.
I know people that agree with that,
but no, I think that bullying's not okay. We should stop it. But furthermore, people should stop being fucking weird. So,
it's like what better way to make them stop than to bully them?
Well, it's a balance. No. I'm not saying you should bullying him into stop being weird, but just because we're like, well, don't bully anybody. Well, now, because nobody's getting bullied, it's like carte blanche to be as weird as you fucking want to be.
Yeah.
And people are pushing the envelope with the weirdness, right?
Yep.
And it's like, all right, hey, ease up on the weird shit, right? It's great. Fine, you're different. Fine, you wore your socks a little too high in the late 80s, and you should have pushed them down. Well, that's fine. That's the kind of shit that people were getting bullied for. Or you didn't know how to tight roll your jeans in the 90s. Okay, fine. You got bullied that you weren't stylish or whatever.
Yeah.
But whenever you want to fucking pierce every orifice on your fucking face and you want to have pink hair one day and green hair the next day, and you want to fuck cats and Cadillacs.
That's a whole other thing.
Well, but whatever. So like, I don't identify as that. I'm a Cadillac sexual. I only fuck Eldorados.
Just the tailpipe.
Right. So then it's like, now you're just fucking weird and you need to be knocked back into line, right? Obviously exaggerations.
Yeah.
I just, anyway, I don't know how. Bullying. The Joker probably should have been bullied. The Joker was probably I don't know, we had to see the movie, but he was probably an asshole. He probably deserved it. Had it coming to him.
Well, and this is nerding out a little, but I feel like a little bit like I'm not sure that I want to see that as the depiction. I don't want to identify with or sympathize for the Joker. Like I don't want to know, he went off the deep end because people picked on him or because he came from a mentally unstable mom or whatever, right? Like, it needs to be unexplainable. He's the worst villain in the Batman Rogues Gallery for a reason, and it shouldn't be something that could happen to any of us. It needs to be he's worse than any of us. And you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I hope that they don't just make it like a sympathetic role and character. But
is he
I'm still totally going to go see him.
The greatest comic book villain of all time?
Wow.
Right.
Probably.
So like, if you think about like the Marvel universe, there's not, I mean, Thanos obviously, but there's not like this one iconic villain that goes throughout all, right? DC has Lex Luthor and Superman. Right. It has the Joker and Batman, the Riddler, the Penguin.
I would say he's the most iconic Batman villain, and then Batman is maybe the most iconic DC hero next to Superman or with Superman. So really, amongst the villains, it's Joker and Lex Luthor, and I mean, Joker is more terrifying in my mind than Lex Luthor. So yes,
Lex Luthor seemed kind of hapless, right? Didn't he?
I mean, he's gone through phases of like, he was the president at one point, and he had the big suit that he would wear that gave him all kinds of abilities, and he would stop at nothing, and he had the means and resources to do whatever he needed to do.
So are you a Batman or Superman person?
Batman. I mean, definitely? I love Superman, but I'm a Batman.
See, I'm a Superman guy.
Oh, wow.
I know that's an unpopular opinion too, that most people dig Batman, and I don't think he's super. I don't think he's not a superhero. He's a dude. He's a dude
totally
with the fancy belt.
Right.
He's a ninja trained, whatever.
But that's what made him super, was that
Superman is fucking super.
He did what a normal person couldn't do. He trained his body to peak physical condition.
Anybody can do that.
But I didn't do it. Did you do it?
No, but anybody could.
He's the greatest detective mind ever.
What Clark Kent did, nobody could do.
True.
Nobody can do that. Now, there could be other Batmen that come along and be like, all right, I'm going to go find some ninjas to train me. I'm going to make a fancy belt and dig a cave and build a cool ass car.
That reminds me, I wanted to call you out for something. Revisit, if you will, our episode where we talked about the police officer who played basketball with the kids.
Yeah.
And then he went and
Did I fuck it up?
He went and got Shaq. No, you didn't fuck it up.
Okay.
But, Shaq gave him a speech, and he even gave him some money for making free throws. He probably gave him some Papa John's.
Maybe.
But I believe you said that he gave him basically an inspirational speech about, look, I came from here. I came from these streets in this situation. And you need to know that, if you work hard and put in the time and effort, you can do anything you want to do. And I wanted to say, if you work hard and put in the time and effort, you can be 7'2", 320. And
tell Muggsy
drop
Bogues
40 points
tell
in the finals. You too can do it.
Tell Muggsy Bogues or Pee Wee Leonard or who trying to think of other small Damon Stoudemire. Tell those guys.
Where would Shaq be if he was 5'4", 140?
He'd be Muggsy Bogues.
No, he wouldn't. Have you seen Shaq shoot free throws? Muggsy Bogues is Muggsy Bogues. Yeah. I just thought that was funny to think. Here's this dude who's only successful because of his physical gifts of being giant,
but now
and muscular, 7% body fat.
You got to take that back because there's other guys that are the exact same size as Shaq that didn't do what he did. That didn't go play at LSU. That didn't get drafted #1 by the Magic. That didn't have a career of however many champions. I
don't think there's very many 7'2", 7% body fat guys.
Oh, I bet they're out there. Well, there's guys. Let me put this.
They all had their shot, I would say.
But there's guys out there that were 7'2", that wasn't their gig. That's not what they wanted to do.
Look, I love Shaq.
RuPaul.
Okay, I love Shaq, but let's not kid ourselves that just because he put in hard work, you can do whatever you want to do. I am never going to be a center in the NBA.
Well, but he's not just
talking
talking about basketball. He's saying, hey, maybe if you want to be a mortgage broker, hey, that's what I'm sure it's not what he's talking about.
Just saying.
But the message is, jackass, is that if you don't want to be in this situation, there's ways to get out of it. And number one, work hard. Work hard. Find something you enjoy. Work hard. Go fucking do it and get out of this. And there's no excuses why.
I agree with that
you.
message, but it's hard to take it from somebody who's only good at what he did because he's so big.
Well, unfortunately, they're not listening to us.
I
know.
I know.
If they were, then we would be delivering that message, and it would make a lot of sense.
Well, it's probably a good time to wrap this up. I'm like your sister. I haven't had beer in a month, and I have to pee really.
Yeah, I'm with you. Yeah, but these episodes are getting shorter because our bladder shrunk
right.
over the month.
But we appreciate everybody for listening and watching.
Well, yeah, we'll back up. We appreciate everybody for listening. Hopefully, you came back. We had record downloads on the Pam Hupp episode.
Insane number, tenfold.
We might just fucking hashtag Pam Hupp.
Yeah, I think we will from now on.
See what happens. But no, everybody that listened, hopefully you listened to the whole episode. Hopefully you've come back and you listened to the next couple, and we've got you to hit that subscribe button on your podcast app. If not, well, fuck you then. That means you didn't hear this anyway.
Right.
So, but hopefully you're coming back, and hopefully hopefully you like what you're hearing. And
where can they follow us?
Well, I was going to say, they can follow us a lot of places. I mean, in the grocery store. But yeah, you let us know what you want to hear us talk about. If that kind of shit, you dig it, the Pam Hupp thing or the true crime stuff. I know there's a lot of places where you can get that information. And maybe we're not the voice you want to hear it from. Maybe you want to hear us talk about other stuff. Maybe you thought that was garbage. Hope not. I hope it was pretty good.
It was good.
But let us know what you want to hear us talk about.
Yeah.
We are we will talk about anything. If you've heard one episode with me and Jared talking, that we can pretty much throw a topic at us. We can talk about it for a while. So let us know at Load This Podcast on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. And Load This Podcast at gmail.com is our email address, or you can leave a message on YouTube just below this video. Get a load of this podcast on YouTube. What am I missing? I'm missing one.
TikTok.
TikTok. We still haven't got that worked out yet. But let us know what your thoughts are, and let us know if you like Rebecca. If you want to hear Rick. Rick hasn't been back in a while.
I know. I want to have Rick back on.
If you want to hear more from Bill or Dave, if you want to have us revisit some
not recap
some topics,
revisit.
If you want to hear more from Kristen, she's right there.
Our sex life.
Nah, maybe
Ryan still hasn't listened to that episode.
No, I feel like it'll tarnish our friendship, so I'm going to avoid that one. But
all right. Well, again, we appreciate you listening, and until next time, I'm Jared.
I am Ryan.
And get a load of this.
Leon Bridges. You ever heard of him?
Mm-mm.
You need to look his ass up, too, because he's really, really good. And so the boys, my boys, it's funny. They'll say this is wrong, but I stumbled upon Leon Bridges somehow, and we were at my parents' house, and he sounds a lot like a 60s soul singer, like Marvin Gaye-esque, right? Mm-hmm. And I said to my parents, I was like, you got to listen to this guy, and I put it on their Bluetooth speaker, and they were like, wow, this guy, this is new? And I'm like, yeah, this is brand new shit, and it sounds old. It sounds like this guy wrote this shit in 1962. Mm-hmm. Anyway, I don't know if my boys were out there with us or not. We were on the back porch of my parents' house. 6 months later, I hear it coming out of Chuck's room. Mm-hmm. He's like, listen to this guy. I discovered him.
Discovered him.
He acts like he's Kurt Loder on MTV.
Right.
And I'm like, you didn't discover shit. You were there with me. No, you never found that. I'm like, all right, whatever. I'm not going to fight over this hipster shit.
Right.
It doesn't. I'm glad they found it, and I'm glad that they like what I like. Because for those people that don't know Leon Bridges, go look his ass up, along with Gary Clark Jr. and Sturgill Simpson and these guys that are probably not nearly as famous as they should be.
Well, and that's what I want to get into.
Well, let's kick it off. I don't think we've started it.
All right.